Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I'm going to take you behind the scenes and share some little known facts about this massive $1.9 trillion American rescue plan so you can understand exactly what's included in it. Let's just jump right in. Here's the headline of an article on your screen published by CNN. The stimulus relief package marks a shift in the US battle against poverty. You've heard me mention this before on our channel. This is a K-shaped recovery. Individuals at the top of the K are doing just fine. Individuals at the bottom of the K, individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality, have in many cases seen their jobs disappear permanently. Here's a quote on your screen from Bernie Sanders, the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. He said, "This is the most significant legislation for working families, for working people that has been passed in decades." He said, "I think what shocks many in the establishment and certainly my Republican colleagues is that we wrote a bill to address the crisis facing working families and the middle class and low income people, and not the wealthy and large corporations and their lobbyists." Now, this bill does include a lot of spending, but it is intended to help combat child poverty and to make health insurance available to more and more of our fellow Americans. And while all this is happening, new reporting is emerging from the Los Angeles Times. You'll see the article on your screen. Republicans call the stimulus relief package a liberal wish list, and Democrats are now starting to own that, saying, yep, in many cases, we got many items from our wish list. So Brian Deese, the director of the White House Economic Council, put out a series of tweets today. Let's show you those tweets on your screen right now. He points out that the American Rescue Plan will cut homelessness, which causes economic pain and causes more disease transmission. He talks about compensating for school meals that needy kids are missing. He said 30 million kids rely on free or reduced price school meal programs from going hungry. He talks about small business owners getting more money. He talks about 400,000 small businesses that closed as a direct result of the pandemic. He talks about the economy recovering and small businesses needing more access to more money as the economy recovers. And he points out that it makes the largest investment in our history in tribal governments and native communities, including $20 billion to stem economic crisis in native communities. He also talks about rescuing public transit. And he says public transit systems are our engines, if you will, of economic opportunity. And he said that the public transit systems have been threatened because of the pandemic. And $28 billion is included in the ARP, which is the American Rescue Plan, to protect transit workers from layoffs and support 7 million people who rely on public transport in order to be able to commute to work. Now, as you can imagine, certain individuals, the Republicans, are not very happy. The House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, is not happy at all. He said the bill was, I quote, the single most expensive spending bill ever. And he said almost every one of these bills, 592 pages, includes a liberal pipe dream that predates the pandemic. So the big question is, who is this massive $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan actually helping? Let's show you an article on your screen from the Tax Policy Center. And this article, and as we scroll down the article, I'll give you the highlights. This article basically says that about 70% of the benefits of the American Rescue Plan would go to those earning $91,000 a year or less, which is the bottom 3/5 of the nation's income distribution. So in other words, what the American Rescue Plan is intended to do, according to the Tax Policy Center, which is a nonpartisan Washington think tank, a majority of the benefits will go towards families. So the benefits for families make up half the cost of the entire legislation. In fact, the analysis from the Tax Policy Center showed that for those in the lowest fifth, in other words, the poorest amongst us, for those in the bottom 20% of the income distribution with earnings of less than $25,000 a year, this would increase take-home pay by 20%, according to this analysis. Now, the stimulus checks are a huge part of this. And another important component of the bill, which the Tax Policy Center pointed out, is the expansion of aid from the federal government to families with children. This is important, and this is a measure that has the potential to cut child poverty by half, almost by half. Now, another significant provision, which is a little known fact of the American Rescue Plan, is that there'll be a significant expansion of the number of middle-class Americans who can now essentially get larger federal subsidies to get health insurance. So this is important. So more middle-class Americans can get help for their health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, because the federal government will pay for a portion, in many cases a substantial portion, of the health insurance premium. So this essentially is an expansion, if you will, of the Affordable Care Act, which was instituted in 2010. So we're seeing a decade later a huge step forward as far as the Affordable Care Act is concerned, making it available to more of our fellow Americans. This bill also includes $24 billion in funding for childcare facilities, including money to help pay for workers who earn on average less than $12 an hour. So this bill would essentially expand the existing tax credit that families can use to offset the cost of caring for a child or a dependent, and this raises the amount of credit and makes it available to more people. So there are a lot of benefits here that are going to emerge in the coming days and weeks, and I'll be doing specific videos about that so you can decide which benefit is applicable to you. As you can imagine, members of the Biden administration are very happy. Here's a tweet on your screen from the White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who says, "I'm not going to try to hide it. Yes, we are very excited, optimistic, and hopeful about what is about to happen," meaning hopeful about the passage of the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan in the House, and then it'll head to the desk of the president for signature, and at that point it becomes law. In the meantime, the Democrats are getting ready to pass the $1.9 trillion stimulus package in the House. You'll see this title, this headline on your screen from the New York Times. "In a big week for Biden, House is set to vote Wednesday," meaning tomorrow, on his $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries from the great state of New York, he's the number 5 Democrat in the House of Representatives. He said today that he was, I quote, 110% confident that his party had the votes to push it through the House and then get it to the president's desk for signature. And finally, according to new reporting from the Washington Post, you see the headline of the article on your screen. The relief bill, the stimulus package, is the most significant legislation for black farmers since the Civil Rights Act, according to experts. So what's happening here is that $5 billion would go to farmers of color who have lost 90% of their land over the past century, according to the Washington Post, because of systemic discrimination and essentially a cycle of debt. Now, there are proponents of this and there are those who are detractors of this particular component of the bill. Keep in mind that this is a small fraction of the $1.9 trillion bill, but according to the Washington Post, the supporters of this provision in the bill basically say that this represents a giant step forward in righting a wrong that has been building up for decades of mistreatment of African American farmers by the government and others. Now, on the other hand, you have the Republican Senator Pat Toomey, who had this to say: "This bill is not about responding to COVID. It is about exploiting the final stretch of a public health crisis in order to enact a long-standing liberal wish list for years into the future, including sending payments to farmers and ranchers equivalent to 120% of their borrowings, irrespective of their earnings, wealth, or effects from the pandemic, and exclusively for ethnic minorities or immigrants." So you can start to see that there's a lot of backlash building to specific components of the American Rescue Plan. And what's interesting is that Jeff Stein from the Washington Post points this out. Let's show you a tweet from Jeff on your screen right now. "Almost all of Trump's trade bailout went to white farmers." A little notice piece of Biden's relief bill, the American Rescue Plan, that I just pointed out. And by the way, you'll get a link to all of our resources, including tweets from Jeff Stein, as well as all the articles we mentioned in this video and all our videos in the description section below. That is what makes our channel unique. We don't just give you the information and expect you to take our word for it. We always list all of our sources. If you appreciate our effort, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a great deal to me, and that does help out the YouTube algorithms. Jeff Stein points out that the American Rescue Plan provides $5 billion to disadvantaged and African American farmers. It's reparations, but it's more than that. It is historic. So definitely check out that article. We now have reporting that the bill has made its way from the Senate to the House, and we do have confirmation that the House will vote on this bill first thing tomorrow morning, and they'll pass it tomorrow. That's it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you did, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. Let me know what you think about these little known provisions that really haven't been discussed. Everyone's been talking about the stimulus checks, the unemployment benefits, and I get that. But there are many other things in the stimulus plan that are going to help many of our fellow Americans. And I want to ask you if you think this is a liberal wish list, just like the Republicans pointed out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really appreciate you watching. Once again, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. If you do that, I'll make it rain money in your living room. I'll do that. Well, I don't have magical powers, but if I could, I would. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.